Okay. Great afternoon. Great afternoon. Happy Wednesday. Happy Winning Wednesday. Happy Wealthy Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning into the Legacy Lab, 60 Minutes to Black Financial Freedom. I am your host, Stephanie Miller Henderson, and I thank you so much for listening every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Happy Wednesday. We made it to the last day of the month, you all. How exciting is that? Great afternoon to all of you tuning in via Facebook. Remember to tune in. You can visit IntellectualRadio.com. You can hear the podcast there. You can hear and listen in on all podcast platforms. Or you can definitely subscribe to Intellectual Radio's YouTube channel. You can visit me at Stephanie Miller Henderson on all social media platforms as well as YouTube. I would love for you to keep up with me. I would love for you to connect with me, message me, share some topics with me, request to come on the show with me, all the things. Great afternoon to you, Adonis Hammer. I am super excited to have you to jump on with me and probably in the next 4 minutes. All right. So look, again, we are wrapping up the month of April. We're wrapping up Autism Awareness Month. We're wrapping up National Financial Literacy Month. Two very important awareness initiatives, if you will. As a school counselor, by trade, Autism Awareness Month is something that I definitely highlighted in my school building. And I'm super excited that tomorrow in the month of May kicks off Mental Health Awareness Month. And we all know, or at least we should, just how important mental health is. And so definitely tune in on Wednesday, as every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, and be prepared to hear just how important mental health is, how mental health is actually impacted by your finances, right? How does, having a lack of money impact your mental health? I'm sure we can all say that it adds a level of stress on the individual. It adds a level of stress on the household. And so we're going to dig into that. We're going to break that down and talk about what that actually looks like and how it shows up in your mental health. And I am super excited to have some phenomenal callers on today. One of them will be joining us shortly. And before he does, I just want to share a couple of financial facts. And so looking at the median, the average income level, if you will, of an individual in the city of Chicago. And we know that Chicago is one of the largest cities in the United States. We're probably at number 3 or 4 on the list. A very global city, but indeed one of the most segregated cities in the country as well. So I want to make sure I point that out. But individuals in Chicago in 2023 was the latest stats that I found, had a income in U.S. dollars of about $42,000. Now, these are individuals many times with a degree, right? And so we're thinking about individuals whom also have a family. And so when you look at that median income as an individual versus a household, when you look at the entire household, then of course the income went up to about $72,000 per year. But again, looking at the cost of living in a city such as Chicago, a global city, how does one live on $42,000? Then looking across the United States, that same income, that median income is almost $40,000, or was almost $40,000 in 2023. And so we're going to dig a little bit into that, as it relates to these income facts and why it's so important to make sure you have some additional income streams if you want to be able to sustain and take care of yourself and your family. I'm going to shift gears, and we are going to dig a little bit further into this autism awareness piece and financial literacy. So let's see who we have. All right. Great afternoon. Thank you for calling into the Legacy Lab. Who do I have on the line?
Good afternoon. You have Adonis Hammer on the line.
Good afternoon, Adonis. How are you?
I am blessed.
That is amazing. So let me share a little bit about how Adonis and I connected, and then I'm going to turn it over to him because he has some amazing things that he would like to share with you all. So Adonis called me one day. This was after I facilitated or hosted the Black Professionals and Black Business Owners Networking event, which was phenomenal, at the Divine Purpose Fine Arts Center at the end of March. And so I got a call from Adonis probably like the next day or so, and he was inquiring about how he can, get involved in this networking event. And Adonis shared with me that he has a business, that he also has a business that he runs with his grandmother. And I was just super excited to connect with this young man. And then fast forward, I volunteered at an autism awareness event called Autism, again hosted by Karshina Washington, the founder and director of the Divine Purpose Fine Arts Center. And lo and behold, who do I meet at this autism awareness event? None other than Adonis himself, who was there, representing his business and representing a group of amazing young adults that he works with. And so my heart was so full at this event because represented in the room were young adults and young people who are on the autism spectrum, but running amazing businesses. And, it shattered every stereotype, barrier, stigma that you could imagine as it relates to not just young people living, living on the spectrum with autism, but young people or young adults who we look at as having a disability. And I don't even like to use that word. I, say, individuals with different abilities, because it does not take away from their ability to do many things. Now, we've heard some controversy, from the administration as it relates to autism, but we're not going to dive in there. I'm going to turn it over to Adonis to kind of talk a little bit about himself, introduce himself to the listeners, and share, things about his business and just a little bit about his life as a young adult on the autism spectrum. Adonis, come on and share with the people.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody, to God be the glory for all things he has done for us. My name is Adonis Hammer. I am a part of the Divine Purpose Fine Arts Center at 9210 South Commercial with Miss Victoria and Miss Karshina once a month. We do our drum class once a month. With me, I am the founder of the Chicago Warriors bowling team. What we do is, in the year of 2019, I have started the changing up in September of 2019 because a lot of people feel that as we as young people as with disabilities that we cannot accomplish nothing. So what I did was I had brought a couple of people together. We started off with 3 people. I brought everybody to within 3 people. I got about 20 to 25 people now that's on the voting team, and not only that, but this is a great opportunity for people to come together as a team because a lot of people don't understand that with us with disability and autism, they feel that we don't accomplish nothing. We cannot reach our goals. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to prove them wrong. In the year of 2021, I had graduated out of the School of Southside Architecture Academy. My biggest major was culinary art, where we cook food and stuff. But within that school setting, I had took a teacher class. And within that class, I had an idea of what I want to do. So here it is, from 2019 until now, I have my own business called the Total Tees Ministry, Retail and Customized T-shirt. What's up, please?
I'm here, Adonis. I'm just taking it all in. I heard a few things, and you have a lot of background noise, but we can.
Yes, I'm on the paper.
Oh, okay. All right. He's in motion, but we can hear you, Adonis. So, first of all, congratulations on everything. Let me just say that first and foremost. And I see some of your people on Facebook. I see Karshina. Hello, my sister. And I want to say congratulations on, first of all, bringing your community together to do something recreational, but it builds community, right? It builds camaraderie, it builds friendship, and it builds that support that you all need in this society that can sometimes be very cruel, right? Just to people in general, but, definitely to people who are on the spectrum, people that, they don't understand or don't even attempt to understand. And so shout out to you for the Chicago Warriors group. And then you went ahead and you used what you learned and this speaks to individuals who often bash the Chicago public school system. And again, it comes from a lack of knowledge at times because you have people that are either not even in the system, meaning they don't work in the system, don't volunteer in the system. And if they have, they forget that it's a very vast system, right? Meaning almost 400,000 students and over 800 schools. And so that's really broad. And so we have to be careful when we make these general statements about programming and things that's offered in the Chicago public school system. And so Adonis is a living testament of one of these types of programs that we have in CPS called Career and Technical Educational Programs. And as a graduate of Chicago Vocational High School, I know firsthand what it means to be within a school that has CTE or Career and Technical Education Programs, because what those programs do is it prepares you to either go into a job or, like Adonis did, start your own business from the skills that you learned. And so in high school, my trade was business and finance. Though I did not go into a business major, the skills that I learned in high school stuck with me. Hence the reason why I'm a business owner today. And so throwing it back to Adonis said that he took up culinary arts, but he also did some t-shirt design. And so with that, with those skills, now Adonis has a business called Total Tees Ministry. And let me add that this month we're talking about faith and finances. So anytime you see ministry in the title, you already know what it is, okay? And so Adonis, I'm going to throw it to you and say, talk a little bit about your t-shirt business and why it is a ministry for you.
First off, I say that this is a ministry for me because this is my gift. This is like my gift. And when I say, when I do my t-shirts, I pray over my business. I pray over, Lord, let this be your glory. Let this be your will. And let this show or this face mask or whatever be a blessing to somebody so they can bless somebody else. And it's just a blessing to be a blessing.
Yes. Yes, it is. Thank you so much for that. Look, you listeners, you can learn. Adonis, how old are you?
I'm 25.
25. We call that a Gen Zer. My daughter is 22. So I can be Adonis's parents. Okay. Adonis, we can learn some things from this young man. He said that he prays over his business. He prays over the shirt as he's and hopes that it will be a blessing to someone else, and hopes that, the shirt and this person that's going to be representing the shirt is going to bring glory to God. So talk about faith and finances. That's it right there. Adonis, have you ever worked for someone else, or have you just always been a business owner since you started working?
So I work for Holy Cross.
Okay.
I work with Holy Cross, but the t-shirt, that's my own business. I created the ministry. I created the t-shirt.
That's good.
With the help from my grandmother.
Okay. I love it. I am going to ask Adonis, I want you to let the listeners know, because we have a few people. Let's see. We have Jamila Dobson, who says that she is the assistant team captain of Chicago Warriors, and she assists you with events. And she is very honored, Adonis, to be hearing you on this broadcast for the first time. So shout out to you, Jamila. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jamila. Thank you, Jamila. Thank you for tuning in and supporting your fellow team member. That is what it's all about, showing up for your people. Thank you so much. We have, let's see, this is Karshina talking about that gift-making room, and bringing you before great men and telling you to teach Adonis. So keep up the good work. Adonis, how can people follow you, find you, support you? For one, with what you're doing with Chicago Warriors, and then with Total Tees Ministry.
So I do have a Facebook page, Adonis Hammer. I do also have a t-shirt business page. It's called Total Tees Ministry, retail and customized t-shirts.
All right, you all heard it. You heard it. Go find him on Facebook with his page, and go find his Total Tees page. Adonis, how does someone become a part of your Chicago Warriors community?
All they have to just inbox me, let me know if they have a disability or autism, let me know, and we can just take them, and we can just take from there, and my grandmother has them get comments.
Awesome. Well, Adonis, I'm going to say thank you so much for calling in. Thank you for being who you are, and definitely keep up the great and amazing work. I speak nothing but increase over your community with Chicago Warriors, over your ministry with your t-shirts, and continue to just being who you are and shedding light and awareness, that people who are on the autism spectrum will and can do amazing things. Thank you so much, Adonis.
And this year will make 7 years that I have formed the Chicago Warriors.
Congratulations. You know what the number 7 represents, right? That number represents completion. So this year is I'm just gonna speak that it's gonna be some great things. God is getting ready to multiply some things for you as it relates to what you're doing, and I'm grateful that we have connected.
Praise God, to God be the glory.
Yes, have an amazing day, Adonis.
Bye-bye.
All right. I hope you heard it. I hope you caught it. I'm so grateful for you to tune into the Legacy Lab, where we are focusing on wealth building principles. And this month, National Financial Literacy Month and Autism Awareness Month, we're just merging stuff, because everything is a part of everything on some level. And so you heard from Adonis Hammer. You can follow him on Facebook. He is the leader of the Chicago Warriors group, a group of young people, young adults who are on the autism spectrum, and they are building community, and they are doing amazing things. They're out here owning their businesses and owning everything about themselves, and I love it. So look, we are going to have some more amazing things happening, so stick with me on this Legacy Lab. I want to go back to those financial facts as it relates to income. Because I don't understand. I really want to know, let me not say I don't understand, because I used to watch my grandmother figure out, I don't know, I feel like she made a 7-course meal and I couldn't find a thing in the kitchen. I don't know how she made whatever appear. It was like magic or something. But so I'm not going to say I don't know how people make things happen with, not having a lot of money, if you will, because I've seen it with my own eyes. So but you fast forward to 2025, where everything is skyrocketing. We talk a lot about the price of eggs just because that's what's in the news. But if if you are the person that grocery shops in your home, and you've been that person at least for the last decade, then you understand that, $300 in your cart 10 years ago is not what $300 in your cart looks like today. I feel like $300 is going to get you 10 items. But I'm saying all that to say, what I often share with people as I talk about wealth, as I, put on this wealth advocate hat, is that having one income stream from your job or from your career is just too close to being broke. And so if you don't have anything else happening, then I really want to impress upon you to figure out, to do your research, to look around, to connect, to get some information on how you can bring additional income streams into your household. On, a few shows ago, I just really opened up and came out of the gate with basic ways that you can build wealth. And so if you don't have that perfect ingredient of passive income, leveraged income, and residual income, then you're missing the mark. I'll repeat that. If you don't have that ingredient of passive income, leveraged income, and residual income, you're missing the mark. And I really want to suggest that you do that. Now, faith and finances. I would be remiss if I did not bring up the hot topic. That's something that's happening, that's brewing since Sunday, where one of the wealthiest pastors in our generation, Bishop T.D. Jakes, stepped down after 50 plus years of preaching. I, at the top of the month, highlighted some really significant passages of scripture that talks about wealth on some level, that talked about building, that talked about leaving an inheritance, that talked about legacy. And I constantly share my thoughts on what it means to, have insurance, how, we see a lot of GoFundMe pages for different things. But what happened with Bishop T.D. Jakes, that we saw a passing of the torch, if you will, or, the mantle and all the things to the next generation. And that is so profound in so many ways. For me, as someone who is active in my church community, I see individuals who seem as though they want to hold on to the title and the position until they die. And so we saw, what Bishop T.D. Jakes experienced, because he, experienced it on stage, in the middle or toward the end of his sermon. And so we saw that health challenge play out on the television screen. And so to see and to witness, that emotional transition on Sunday, it brought up a few things. Now, we know that T.D. Jakes is, he's a bishop, but he's a businessman. He's a best-selling author. He's a media mogul. He's a filmmaker. And so if you Google his net worth, it's going to give you a number somewhere to the tune of 50 million. And that puts him on that list of, the top earning pastors. I was reminded of a passage of scripture that I read in Numbers. It was like Numbers chapter 8, verse 26. And it says something about pastors. Well, it was the Levites, and we know that is the priestly lineage, retiring from their Levitical duties, if you will, after 25 years of service. And so at the age of 25, they would assume this role, the duties in the tabernacle. And then at the age of 50, 25 years later, they would retire. And I said, oh my, my wheels just started like turning, light bulbs start going off. Because here I am, and I've shared this. I've always said I'm retiring before I turn 50. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't even know what it looks like. But thank God that I found something that contributes to that. And so the retirement will be before 50, well before 50. And I'm grateful to God for that. Because there's no way that a person can retire even before 70, if you will, if they don't have a plan in place. And so when I saw that in the Bible, this 25 years of service and retiring at 50, I said, wow, this isn't, or it might be talked about maybe amongst the pastors, the preachers, the bishops, the ministers, the reverends, amongst themselves and their community. But I've never heard it. I had never even encountered this scripture until I started seeing what the Bible said about wealth, about money, about finances, about retirement, about legacy. And so, of course, you're going to miss some things if you're not looking for it. So I saw the things, right? Because I was looking for it. And so I really want to know, your thoughts on pastors retiring. We're talking about faith and finances. And I'm sure, there are many different thoughts on this, right? Of if this is even in the context of pastors today, because this was, Old Testament scripture. and talking about, rules, if you will, and laws in the way that those believers then should live and serve. And so, ministry is not like your job or your career where you just have a retirement package just kind of sitting up and all in place for you. But I would like to believe that there are churches who, make sure their shepherd, their pastor is set up, and so I want to know what your thoughts are. Type it in the comment section, if you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, especially if you are a pastor, especially if you have a retirement plan. Is it something that your church is providing, or is it something that you yourself are, looking into and building on the side? I really, truly want to know that, thinking about, and watching this man of God step down after 50 years of preaching and give, the church over to his daughter and her husband, it was definitely profound. But again, it started to make me think about, what are people doing? What are believers doing as it relates to, we clearly know that there's not this massive wave of pastors retiring at 50. We just know that. But what are individuals doing, as it relates to, stepping down from ministry, stepping in? And let me say, you never really, you never really step out totally of ministry. You're always serving. But, one thing that Bishop T.D. Jakes said that was really profound is like, it was something to the tune of, just as quickly as and feel like within your spirit that it's time to take hold of something, you also have to know when it's time to let it go, and pass the torch, if you will, especially during this day and age where you have, Gen Zers and you have millennials who can take ministry and, worship to a whole nother level. And so when you think about faith and finances, what does that look like in your church, in your ministry? How are people stepping down? Are people, going to the grave with the titles and the things? Are people passing the torch or training up Gen Zers and millennials to be able to lead and serve in church? And I really want to hear from you. So don't be shy. Don't be shy at all. Go ahead and let me know, because we may, pick this back up. But I definitely wanted to bring that up because that was something extremely profound that took place on Sunday. Shout out to, everyone in Dallas who, are members of that congregation. And, I feel like during the pandemic started to really tune into Bishop T.D. Jakes' sermons. Like, I've always, caught them on some level sporadically. And I definitely have listened to Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts. Each time I believe I probably started that in 2019 when she started, when she was coming to Chicago for her Woman Evolve tour and things like that. But to really, again, it's just, it was remarkable to witness, and definitely praying for their entire family. And, people of the faith that are leading in spite of the attacks, in spite of, allegations and things that come. I always share with people, like, it's not my business it's not my place to judge, because if if we knew what everybody else was doing, you know, and especially the person that is judging, you know, hey, there are some things that many of us have done. No one is perfect, right? That we just, if people knew, you know, if people knew is all I could say. So we definitely have to make sure we're not judging, but that we're praying for people as it relates to the things that they often encounter in this society, especially if they are in ministry. And so that was that with faith and finances, with Bishop Jakes and his net worth and him passing down and this whole legacy piece. But I want to shift gears yet again. You know, we went from our Autism Awareness Month piece with Adonis, and please don't forget to follow him and the work that he is doing. And then we went a little bit into the faith and finances. We're closing this thing out. So I actually wanted to share a little bit of information as it relates to an industry that has the most millionaires, but is also an industry that is very shunned upon in a lot of spaces. And so I wanted to take a couple of minutes to kind of talk through that. And I may have some people that are tuning in via Facebook that are business partners that may be able to comment and kind of help me pull back some of these layers. And so I want to quickly, because I would be remiss, this is Financial Literacy Month, and I talked all about multiple income streams and what it means to build wealth, and I not talk about the network marketing industry or the multi-level marketing industry or affiliate marketing, a lot of different names, if you will, about the industry. There is a very popular magazine, so electronic, if you will, at this point, and it's called Forbes. Many of you may have heard of it. You may read it. Forbes, it has become a trusted source for a lot of people, especially when it comes to business and finance. And Forbes has several articles on network marketing and how lucrative the industry is. And what I wanted to do was break down just maybe like a couple, maybe like 2 or 3 of the myths, because one of the businesses that I happily run is in the network marketing industry, but it is in the travel industry. And so what does that mean? You are familiar with popular network marketing companies, and I always go to my 2 favorite popular ones, Avon and Mary Kay. You're familiar with those. You've heard about them. They've been around for years, and they have millions of representatives worldwide. I was even one of those people who sold Avon to supplement my income, even while working for the 3rd largest school district in the country. And so it goes back to what I was saying, that one stream of income is just simply not enough. And so because I felt that crunch, I had to figure something out. And one thing that I want to share is network marketing is legal, viable, and a legitimate industry. It is, one of those things where people often say, is it a pyramid scheme? And so that's the first myth I want to dispel and let people know that pyramid schemes are illegal. And so if you have connected with someone and, that's the industry the business is in, network marketing and you think it's a pyramid scheme, it probably, if there is a product involved, it is not a pyramid scheme, right? A lot of people are involved in some schemes and some scams out here. And so I could understand, why people would definitely want to make sure they do their homework. But when it's a scheme or a scam, it's typically some money is being exchanged without a product. And that would be illegal. And so the business that I have with Planet Marketing, our product is travel. And so there it is. We're partnered with over 200 travel suppliers. And I often share with people that Carnival Cruise, American Airlines, all those big billion, trillion dollar companies would not risk their business, their status by partnering with something illegal. And so as a Planet Marketing business owner, we're put in a position where we're travel brokers, if you will. We have the ability to sell, properties and all things travel all across the globe, right? Anything travel related, we have the licensing, the credentials instantly once we get our business started. And so we're able to do that. So that looks like even simply calling Carnival, Royal Caribbean, or the things, and being able to sell travel, whether it's concerts, shows, hotels, resorts, anything travel related, we're able to do that. And why do we do that? Why are we able to do that? Well, one reason why we do it is because many of us found out that there was a commission automatically built into every travel booking. And so for people like me who were looking and hoping and praying for something, who were already going to concerts, staying in hotels, flying on airplanes, doing all the things, even going to the zoo, when we found out that anything that we were booking had money already in it and we weren't getting it, but we were doing it, we didn't want to do that anymore. So it was just a smart decision. It made sense for me. And I often share that with people. Like if you're looking for something and you're already traveling, if you travel twice a year, even if you're taking a road trip, you're throwing money away. And I say that because that's the truth. And so once we know better, we do better. But on the network marketing side of that, people often say, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to recruit anybody. And, I have to share with people that, when you think of like network marketing, maybe years ago, you think of like the old school way of doing things where you were going door to door and knocking on doors and asking people to do things. It's not like that today. It is not like that. Like this is such a relationship business where, you hear that phrase, your network determines your net worth. Most of us are already talking to people. We're already involved in so many groups, whether we're in a cooking group, a bike riding group, a Chicago Steppers group, you name it. People are in groups and communities and they're talking and they're selling and they don't even know they're selling. They're talking about, I shared with somebody yesterday, I said, I'm forever selling Italian Fiesta pizza because I like it. And I had some over the weekend, turkey sausage pizza, thin crust with spinach with extra sauce. But every time I share it, I post about it, I talk to somebody about it, Italian Fiesta does not pay me. And so we refer things all the time and we don't get paid for it. And so we're so used to doing that for free that when we're in business and we're talking to somebody about our business in hopes that they would partner with us in business, we feel weird about it. We feel awkward about it. And I want to, help people to ease themselves and say, you spend 40 plus years working for a company as an employee, building someone else's dream. Don't get weird, when it's time to build your dream. You deserve it. Your family deserves it. So, if you had to talk to 10 people to sell them some double good popcorn or to buy some Girl Scout cookies, you definitely would, because you're doing it for your child or whatever so they could get that prize. We have to look at our business. If we really want to build wealth and be able to kick our feet up and just make money in our sleep, you got to understand, like, this is one of those things that you're going to have to do. You have to talk to people about things. Millionaires and billionaires, they talk to people about the things all the time. Again, and it's just a relationship business. So that's the first couple of things is, understanding that it's not a pyramid scheme if there's a product involved. Our product is travel, and we are 1099 independent contractors for Planet Marketing. And that just means that, each time when you have reached a certain level, you profited a certain amount in your business, you get that tax document and you give it to your tax professional. And so that's reported to the IRS. So it wouldn't be a scheme or a scam or at all dealing with the IRS. So you just have to kind of know and, make sure you're educated and understand that once you see certain things in a business presentation, you're like, okay, good, this is legit. Because, you hear things like IRS, 1099, you see the income, you see all the things. And you see a product again. And so it's not like money being exchanged without a product. Another myth that I run into often is that, the person at the top makes all the money and you can never pass them up. And so to the listeners, I want to say that is actually our jobs and our careers, where the person at the top makes all the money and we can never pass them up. That's the jobs that we go to and spend 8 and 10 hours. I would not pass up my principal, for example, unless I went and did had the degree and the principal certification to be able to do that, right? Even our income in the educational system is capped at a certain level. And so that's not the same in the network marketing industry. It's your efforts. Talk about a merit-based system. The work you put in is what you get out, right? So if you do zero work, you're going to get zero pay. But you have people there's, when we look at our income that's reported to the IRS, I'm able to see that someone who partnered with 9 people last year, they helped 9 people get started. They talked to 9 people about their business and they partnered with them in business. That person made a little over $500,000 last year. And let me say, their $500,000 is residual. Remember that residual income piece I talked about. Residual income is money that's going to follow you everywhere you go. Even beyond the grave, it follows you. And so it's powerful. So if you truly want to build wealth, you have to look at ways that you can earn residual income. It's shadow money. I'm dropping free gems to you, free knowledge. That's what you need to look for. You need to look for that residual income piece. My business, and this is I have a couple of business endeavors that I do in addition to my nonprofit, Mommy and Me Ministries. And I always say, my books, Mommy and Me Ministries, those are, a part of my purpose and God's plan for my life, just as this Planet Marketing business is, but it is not the wealth building portion of my life. It's not the portion where I'm going to be able to bless so many generations after me, that I'm going to be able to leave this earth and leave some tangible items for generations to come. That was not going to get me there. But I'm so grateful that I found something that could. And so I want to make sure that as we move through 2025, if you are an individual, this is again wrapping up National Financial Literacy Month. Financial literacy does not just end at knowing how to save and budget, knowing how to increase your credit score. All of those things are a part of it, but it also has to do with investing, right? That was the big piece that I wanted everybody to know, is that investing is the key to build wealth. You have to have something happening where you are able to bring additional income streams in. Now, there are some people, that just want to put their money down and they want it to grow. Now, the thing about that is it's not going to constantly grow, right? There are different ways that you can grow your money. But, some investments, it's not going to happen as quickly as people want. We definitely live in a microwave society where people want instantaneous results. And so, you got to sometimes have a crock pot mentality where that thing has to cook for a bit and simmer and get all the good seasonings and everything all into it. And then when it's done, it'll still be way less time than you spent on that job or that career, right? Like, I have people in my business who in 4 years were able to start earning over $100,000 a month, per month. And again, it's travel, right? So travel just hit, some say 10 trillion, but there are some information out there from global tourism that says $11 trillion. So why not get a piece of an industry that you're already using? Even if you were, even for people that invest in stock, people probably invest in things that they're using, or products that they support. And so just really, I want you to really think about that. But also, last thing, many of us that are in, a network marketing business model, we work our jobs and our careers, at least until that business, that income surpasses what we earn on our job and career. And so we're able to do that in such a collapsed time frame. That is why I highly encourage you, if you are somebody who is serious, driven, motivated to build wealth, you should definitely look into, there are many companies, but when you're looking for a company, you want to make sure you're looking at the product. Is it a product you can get behind? Is it a vision that you can get behind? You want to look at the leadership. Is there coaching involved? When I sold Avon, I didn't even know it was a network marketing business because I didn't have like coaching and mentorship. But here, in my Planet Marketing business, I'm so grateful because the coaching and the mentorship is vast. Like, I get a chance to glean from people who are making $50,000 a month, over $100,000 a month, people that, came from backgrounds like education, psychology, clinical backgrounds like myself, or even people, that are in ministry, people that were in the military, people from engineering backgrounds. And so it's just so great to see like everyday people who just wanted something different, wanted more, even if it was something like me, where they wanted to retire at a certain time, or I see it where it's like people that had a severe illness or a disability that kept them, they just no longer wanted to have to earn a disability check. And this business has helped them surpass their $900 or $1,000 that the government was giving them per month that could no longer sustain them. And so it's just your journey, your journey, whatever your reason is, just understand that, you can't be skeptical and broke. You can't be skeptical and not have anything tangible to leave to your family. Like, at some point, you have to be willing to make a decision that you're no longer going to live paycheck to paycheck, that you're no longer going to, struggle and that you and your family deserves more. And so once you've done that, you're not going to care about what anybody says. If it's legal and you can see that it's a legal and legitimate and viable opportunity and it makes sense for your life, seize it. Seize the moment. I'm going to say, your moment is now. Let's say now is no opportunity wasted. And so I'm going to leave you with that. Let us not waste opportunities. Let us make sure we're educating ourselves as it relates to our finances. There are so many resources out here, more than our grandparents, our great-grandparents could have ever dreamed about. So there are no excuses. I thank you all so much for tuning into the Legacy Lab on today, 60 minutes of Black financial freedom. And I look forward to hearing you, seeing you, hearing from you, all the things next week at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesday. Have an amazing week.